Okay, let's have a little look at factorising and solving, okay? Now you will notice this example looks slightly different to just factorising, okay? So if it's just a factorising question, it wouldn't be equal to anything. When it says solve, it implies that we're going to get an x equals, we're going to have a final solution, okay? We're going to get an answer to this question. So the first thing we are going to do is start like we always do. We're going to focus on this number that's on the end, and we're going to be thinking about two pairs of numbers and multiply together to make 6. We're thinking of factors of 6, okay? So we can have 6 and 1 or 3 and 2. Now, like we were talking about with just factorising, we need to pick a pair that makes plus 5, okay? Now, you could do, in theory, 6 take away 1, which does give us plus 5, or I could do 3 plus 2. Now, bear in mind, this is an entirely positive expression. So we have all positive numbers, which means I can't use anything that involves a negative. So I can't do 6 take away 1, because that implies a take away 1. I've got to choose something which implies all positive, so all adding, okay? So we're going to start like we always do, put our 2 brackets inside there, x at the start of both of those brackets, and then we put that equals 0, that part, on the end, okay? Then I'm going to put my 3 and 2 inside my brackets like I would normally do, okay? Then we're going to think about plus 3 plus 2 does give me my plus 5. Now the next part is the different bit, the next stage to solving this equation, okay? So we're going to say either, I'm going to take my first bracket, which is x plus 3, and that's equal to 0, or my x plus 2 is equal to 0, okay? Then we're going to think about solving them. So the opposite of adding 3 is going to give me a minus 3, or the opposite of adding 2 is going to give me a minus 2. So my two solutions are x is equal to minus 3 or x is equal to minus 2. So what that is saying is if you wanted to substitute those two numbers back into that expression or equation at the top there, you would get 0. Okay guys, I've had a few more questions about factorising and solving, so I'm going to do 3 more examples with you just to show you a couple with negatives as well. So we're going to think about factors of 14, so numbers that multiply together to make 14. So we could have 14 and 1, or we can have 7 and 2. And then we're picking a pair, which when I add or subtract them is going to make that 9 in the middle, okay? So it has to be that 7 and that 2, plus 7 plus 2 makes that plus 9 for us, okay? So then we're going to put them into 2 brackets. So we've got our x at the start of both of them, and then we've got our 7 and our 2 inside our brackets. And we got my cat who also wants to join in. That's Sam, by the way. Then we're going to say that that is plus 7 and plus 2. And then don't forget that's equal to 0. So plus 7 plus 2 gives us that plus 9, okay? Same pattern then. We're going to take each bracket and we're going to put our plus 7. So x plus 7 is going to be equal to 0. Or we're going to say our x plus 2 is equal to 0, okay? Then we're going to take the opposites. Instead of plus 7, it's going to become minus 7, and then instead of plus 2 it's going to go over the other side, and we know when that happens it changes signs, so it becomes a negative 2. Okay, next one then, exactly the same process all over again, thinking of pairs of numbers and multiply together to make 20. Okay, so we can have 20 and 1, 10 and 2, or 5 and 4. Okay, and we're thinking of a pair that makes 21. So the only pair there out of those 3 sets that is going to make 21 is actually that top one, okay? So we're going to put them both into brackets like we would normally. X at the start of both. X times x gives me the x squared. 20 and 1 in both your brackets. And obviously I'm trying to make plus 21, which means I need to be adding 20 and 1 together in order to make 21. Put it equal to 0. Then don't forget, we're doing our either or bit at the end. So x plus 20 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now some of you have been asking me, does it matter if I put my brackets there? No, it doesn't, or you can leave it without, it makes no difference. Then we're going to take for our final line the opposite of plus 20. So if I take my plus 20 across to the other side, it becomes a negative 20, a minus 20. Then if I take my plus 1 across to the other side, it becomes a negative or minus 1, okay? Last one then, got a couple of negatives in here, but the same process, okay? So thinking of numbers, first of all, the multiply together to make that 18. So we can have 18 and 1, 6 and 3, 9 and 2. Okay, now we're trying to make 3, so the only pair that has a difference of 3 is going to be that pair there. Okay, so again, we're going to open up our brackets, x at the start of both, then we're going to put 6 and 3 inside those brackets. Now we need to think about how I can use 6 and 3 to make a negative 3, okay? So that's going to be minus 6 on my number line. Then I'm going to go back up 3, and that gives me my minus 3 in total, okay? Last line then, we are then going to take x minus 6 is equal to 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0. Then do the opposite. So the opposite of negative 6 is plus 6, or just 6. And then the opposite of plus 3 is going to be minus 3.